from the Workplace Ninja Summit in Luzerne. Highlights, insights, and simply interesting talks. This is the Workplace Ninja Podcast.
And we're back with a new recording, new friends on the table, Workplace Ninja Summit in Luzerne 2024. Almost at the end. It's the last day. And I have with me some community friends. Harjit joined?
Finally.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How's your day started?
It's good. It's nice to have bankers hours.
Yeah. But it's 9:30. And you should...
It's a perfect time.
Yeah, good. Look, good. He's back. Probably with some questions, but luckily we have some community friends on the table. Jan Ketil Skanke.
Hello.
Is that the full name?
Jan Ketil Skanke, yeah, that's the full name.
And Maurice Daly.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. Last day, yeah. One last session and then we're done. So looking forward to that.
No,
And-
I'm sad. It's the last day.
Yes, last day. Yeah, sad.
He's happy it's the last day. I'm sad.
Yeah.
Because I need to go home.
I'm just happy to be done with sessions.
I would like more sessions.
And he's got enough sugar today, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
He's been stuffing his face with the marshmallow.
But how's the conference so far, guys?
No, it's been good. I mean, it's always great to be back here in Switzerland with the Workplace Ninja. This is the third physical one.
Yep.
It's been great. And really good to be back in Lucerne. The view and the venue here is awesome.
Yeah, we have an awesome location chosen to do this recording, so we have a view on the lake.
Yeah, absolutely. It's beautiful.
How was it for you, Maurice?
Yeah, this city is something else. It's like the first city I've been to where I've had time to walk around before conference as well and take in the sights. And it's like, I rang my family and said, I'd love to bring you here. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And this venue is great as well for the conference. I mean, we're like nearly 700 attendees now. So it's one of the big ones.
Yeah.
It's grown big. Yeah.
You're delivering a session, I think that is this afternoon, around securing Entra identities. What kind of message can we expect on that session?
Yeah, what kind of message? What can I expect?
A lot of people aren't really doing everything right.
No, I think the focus is on that talk is to focus about what does the threat landscape look for today? How can you protect yourself? How can you make sure your identities are governed, taking care of privileged identity management, moving passwordless, strong authentication. And yeah, we still need to be saying this though, turn on MFA. Still going to be said, sadly, for many years still to go. But I mean, it's getting better, right?
It's getting better, but we see the same things over and over again. And I mean, that's the idea of our session, is to say, look, we see this all too often. Please don't do this, and here are the reasons why. So, I mean, security is a hard thing. Some customers are just like, we can't implement this because, but we're just going to make sure, look, this is, if you do this right, it's easy. If you do it wrong, everyone can.
Why do you think some organizations resist when there is no reason for it?
Oh, there is always a reason. They always have a reason. That's the problem, right? And I mean, it could be anything. It can be like the union saying, hey, no, you can't force people to use their private phones for any corporate things.
Right.
That's one we meet a lot, more often than you would think. And most companies don't want to go down the FIDO key route because that's going to be a hassle to carry around. So it's not that easy in all organizations. And take education, really great example, right? You can't really enforce kids to use a phone.
Yeah.
Because actually what they are doing now, a lot of places in Europe, is that they're banning phones in school.
Exactly.
Right? So in education, they have really serious problems when it comes to enforcing strong auth because they can't.
Yep.
And the attacker knows this, right?
Yeah.
Is it also, wait one sec, is it also on a basic level a skill set issue or longevity of existing sysadmins? Because I've seen this trend too, right? You have people that work in and companies. They're like, why fix something that's not broken in their term? And then they have to relearn, they have to retool and stuff like that.
It is a bit like that. I mean, you hear admins say, well, I don't want 3 different accounts because it makes my life difficult. I have to remember 3 different passwords. Well, that's not the point. You shouldn't be remembering those passwords in the first place. Right. They should be in a password vault. So if you're making it easy for you to do your day job, you've made it easy for someone to breach your environment. And, they just continue on doing the same old things that we probably all did at once upon a time ourselves back in, the 90s and 2000s. But, things have moved on. And, if you make it easy, then you get breached. And what does that cost your company?
Yeah.
And what does it cost you as well?
I like the way you mentioned about, the multiple accounts that, and from my university days as sysadmin, I remember there were a lot of accounts. So we had to, as senior sysadmins, you had your university login credentials for your emails and stuff. And then you had another one if you're working on a machine to get local admin, creds. And then another one for your server management, another one for your enterprise, a domain admin. It was just kept on going, At some point, you become complacent too, right? It's like...
Yeah, and it's just, do I need another layer as well? What's the next thing?
Yeah, what's next? I have a few other questions, but the first one, what is the most significant identity security threat organizations should be aware of?
It's phishing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Still phishing. Yeah. Phishing is the number one attack path for all breaches we see. Yeah. And the phishers are getting smarter and smarter.
Yeah.
And the way they make and mimic your own logon with your company credentials and logos and everything is like, wow, they're doing a great job in fooling people.
Is there a way, because this phishing is more email related, is there a way Entra can help with that?
So Entra per se can't help, but of course Defender for Office can help.
Yeah.
Again, if they phish my standard account, I'm not that worried. But they can't easily phish my privileged accounts because it's not the same account. And those accounts I don't have email on. Yeah. So they will never be able to send an email to any of my privileged accounts because they don't have a mailbox.
Yeah, and luckily, we're talking already about MFA. MFA on admin portals will be active from 16th of October, I guess. And then in January 2025, even more on the API stuff as well. Is that helping securing the privileged accounts that you're mentioning?
It will help securing the privileged access. You can still get a hold of the privileged account and if you have email on it, then you can do stuff with it anyway, and you can access other things through that and move laterally to other services by getting access to other accounts and maybe even do a MFA reset or password reset or anything if you just got a hold of a standard account and move laterally from that as well.
But phishing is not just via emails. I mean, you see it through text messages too, right?
We call it smishing.
Smishing?
Yeah, it's called SMS.
SMS. Yeah, that's a good one. I've never heard of that one, but I like it.
What do you phishing?
Smishing.
Yeah, voice phishing. So there are a lot of
ways, right? Because a lot of people, right, including we use our corporate stuff on our devices, right? We have, and you get phished that way. You're not trained enough to detect and say, hey, this doesn't look right. I'm going to click it. So it also comes down to user education too, which is another big component of.
Yeah, that's a massive push to organizations. They need to train people to look at it because I do a lot of training with partners, and one of the things I always say about MFA in particular is. And phishing is someone in your organization will click on anything that you send them. Okay, and they will not look at the URL. They will just happily give away their credentials.
Yes.
And then it's about making it harder for in that situation, what happens. Like the privileged accounts that Jan is talking about, you should never have email on them. But, we've seen it before where organizations have email on those privileged accounts, and even the IT people themselves get phished. So you really just need to think about it, and doing stuff like the internal kind of testing where you're sending out a phishing email and seeing who responds, who clicks on it, who gives away their credentials, and then informing people, look, you gave away your credentials, this is really bad. Keep an eye out for this. That needs to be part of an organization's plan or an annual thing that they do.
Yeah, and you can't do that too often either, because then people just say, oh yeah, here's another test. This is another test thing that, so you got to do it in a random time frame, and then you catch them and you list the people and say, hey, you've done this, slap on your hand, kind of a thing. And
well, I mean, the best way to do it is before you get paid, right? So send it from like a salary. Hey, we've updated our salary systems. We just want to check that you can sign into this application or something like that to fill in your expenses.
That's brilliant.
And then bang, someone does it.
I did that.
You did before.
I did that in Cloudway, actually.
Did he get his salary or no?
Well, he got his salary. Yeah, there was, even in our small company, somebody clicked on the link.
Yeah.
And somebody logged in. But yeah, it happens everywhere. Everybody can be fooled, even we. Mm-hmm. So don't think you're bulletproof, even though you're an admin and if you work with security.
Yeah.
You always need to think, regardless.
Yeah. What about ransomware? That's still pretty prevalent?
Yeah, but how do they get it on your box? It starts with the identity breach. If you went to Sami's session earlier this week, Sami Laiho talking about what he sees for attacks, 80-90% of all ransomware attacks start with the identity breach.
Okay.
So that's where it starts in most cases.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what can we do to protect that identity in an optimal way? What should I start with? MFA, definitely.
Yeah.
But what we still talk about enabling MFA. Is it? You talked already a bit about it in education. It's a bit hard to enable MFA fully because they ban phones on classrooms and that kind of stuff. How is that in general for next period? Yeah,
but that's where the managed devices comes into play. Compliant devices requiring you to come from a known device. Like I have a boy. He's 9 years old. He has an iPad from the school. It's managed by Intune, and they are compliant, and he can't log on from another device that's not compliant and attached to their environment. Yeah. So that's how they protect those accounts, because also their password needs to be kind of simple, because 9-year-olds need to go around and remember it, right? And also, but if the more up you move, right, when you come to the university level, then they are requiring MFA, at least in Norway now, starting to requiring multi-factor using authenticator apps, using Windows Hello for Business. Passwordless is, of course, that's the future with passkeys. Yeah. And now with the passkeys, it's getting easier and easier to get to that passwordless place. Yeah. So I think that is a good move.
One of the things I think in the education sector that they struggle with, so anything lower than, say, university, is budget. And then it's the partner that's looking after them, because they know that the school doesn't have the budget to pay them. Yeah. And then the school is just assuming that everything is secure because they paid a license. And, I've seen that firsthand myself. When my daughter started secondary school, she said, I got Microsoft Teams. I thought, oh, that's brilliant. It's a lot different to my day. And I said, I sent her a message, and it went straight through. And I was like, that's a bit suspect. So I got her login, which you should never give out, of course, but I got her login, and then I was able to see the names of all the students, teachers, IT company that supported them, everything, because, of course, I could get into their portal. So, there's a struggle there financially as well to help those partners actually make sure that education is secure. I would love like an initiative by the likes of Microsoft to kind of educate people in that space to be able to deploy it and do it securely from day one. Yeah.
Moving away from education, more or less in the business, the normal business, are the same challenges happen on the area as well?
I mean, it's always getting the adoption rate up. It's hard. I work with a company now. They are 50,000 users, and they have been working now for over a year to try to enforce compliant device across the board. It's a lot of work to get there. Yep. It's a lot of work because they don't want to just turn it on and kick up half of the business, right? And that will stop production, which will cost them millions a day.
That's not good. Yeah.
Yeah. So they need to do this like in small baby steps and move forward. And it's about having the grit to continue and go on and work and just take baby steps, and we will get there.
Yeah.
But it takes time. The bigger the company, the more time it will take, because there's so many considerations to take in.
Yeah.
And they're global as well, right? So where if you are in that country, we can't do ABC because of regulations and so on and so forth. No, in that country we don't have money to buy people phones in this. Yeah, so there is a lot of things that is holding stuff back.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Sami Lyo did a good example the other day in his session about, admin rights is not human rights.
Yeah.
Except for if you're in a country where that affects your rights as a human. And then all of a sudden, you can't do that thing that you're saying is a really, really bad thing to have, because you just can't fix it until a union gets involved.
Yeah.
What are you guys thinking about stuff like what Microsoft has done with enhanced phishing protection, with Edge and things like that?
I mean, everything helps, right? Everything helps. Defender for an endpoint on the mobile.
Yep.
It helps. It's not good enough on the mobile yet. It's much better on Windows.
Right.
But everything helps.
Everything helps.
Yeah.
But it needs to be improved as well.
Yeah.
Last year, Jan, we talked about monitoring, about reporting, and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Didn't see any session on that on your end. You give it away?
Yeah. So he took the reporting session. Maurice took the reporting session this year.
Yeah.
We all work with that in our company. And so Maurice and my other colleague Simon had a session on monitoring and reporting this year.
But you did it on some log collection?
Yeah.
With log analytics?
Yeah.
What was that?
No, that was basically about how you can get endpoint logs and endpoint data into log analytics.
Is that necessary?
Well, yes. If you think about security, you need to know what to secure.
Yeah.
And to know what to secure, you need to inventory what you have. And you need to inventory in detail what you have. And it's not enough for me to know that I have Adobe Reader in my organization. I need to know all the versions of Adobe Reader that are lingering around.
Yeah.
And yes, maybe I have Defender for endpoint and I have the threat and vulnerability management in there, but still, that's the security team that handles.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure that endpoint admin also knows what versions of Office are out there, versions of Adobe, versions of Google Chrome.
Absolutely.
And also, do I have a lot of machines with out-of-date BIOS versions?
Yeah.
Those data doesn't exist in Intune.
I was talking with Yannick and Florian this morning on some log collections as well. When we had that talk, I asked them the question, and maybe I can do the same as well. We have unified XDR within the security space, where logs and information is coming together from Defender for Office, Defender for Endpoint, Identity, Entra, but nothing from Intune at the moment. The device information is coming from Defender for Endpoint.
True.
What do you think? Must that be combined as well because of all that information that we're now collecting in a custom way, so to say?
So, to be honest, if you look at the application inventory, if you have Defender for Endpoint, the application inventory you get from Defender for Endpoint is better than the application inventory you get in Intune. So maybe it's not that important, but if you want to really dig into and try to combine data, right? So I want to look into Windows Update for Business data, combine it with CVE data from Defender for Endpoint to find out, okay, what's the most critical patch that I need to get rolled out to which type of devices at this moment. That's really, really hard.
Yeah.
So I made a solution for a customer where we actually have a logic app that goes and finds CVE information from Defender for Endpoint, injects it into the same workspace as the Windows Update for Business data, and then we start combining that data into a report.
And you're doing a lot of these kind of things for the community. Where can we find that?
So the one I just told you about now is not a community thing, but everything that we publish for the community is on msendpointmanager.com.
Mm-hmm. Right. I will put it in the description as well. Your guys are doing a lot of with automation and reporting and that kind of stuff. What about the session that you did, Maurice, on that reporting and automation stuff?
Yeah, one of the things in particular that came out of it was there's not a lot of stuff online to tell people in the community how to get this up and running. Microsoft Docs are great, right? They're better than they've ever been. But to kind of put the idea in plant a seed in your head as to how this can work for you is one of those things that blogs do for people, right? We know that we've done it in the community for many years. So I think one of the key takeaways that we had was to start actually showing people how to set this up and give them ideas on how to do this. I actually said one of the ones that we will do at the end of the week, next week, when we get back, is the primary user thing. So we have people that, excuse me, onboard their machines, and it's usually an IT technician, and they've done it for many years.
Yeah.
But now they're doing an Intune. So now all of a sudden they're the primary user of several hundred devices, and they shouldn't be. So we have a solution to fix that, and people are like, can I have that? Because it's a real problem that they have. And that's just like scraping the surface. It's very low-hanging fruit to do that kind of stuff. Yeah. But it gives people ideas.
So I want to ask you guys, let's go to AI and Copilot.
No.
How does that play into what you guys do as consultants and also the companies that you are supporting?
Today,
Does that help?
today it's not there.
Okay.
Copilot for GitHub, that's the only thing that really helps us today.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, we use Copilot for
Okay.
GitHub all the time. When you talk about a security Copilot, I don't have a single customer
Hasn't done it yet.
Yeah.
hasn't done it yet.
Okay.
Microsoft 365 Copilot, we have it internally. We have a few customers scraping the surface on that. But it's not there yet.
Okay.
The product is not good enough. For those that has barely tried it, they say it doesn't give us what we need. But of course, we all see the potential in it, right?
Right.
But it's not there yet, and we don't see it out there yet.
So what about what you've seen here, like Lavanya and stuff who have shared about Copilot and Intune and things like that? What?
It's interesting,
Yeah.
but it's not something that we spend a lot of time on currently.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, and I mean, I personally don't see a direct benefit to myself because some of the stuff, okay, if you're new to Intune, you can ask Copilot to, create a policy that does this or create a query that does that. Okay, I know how to do it myself, so I'm comfortable doing that myself at the moment.
Right.
But again, I think it's about the level of maturity. So over time, this is going to get more tightly integrated into everything that we do. And like Jan said, GitHub for Copilot, Copilot for GitHub even. Wow, why did I say that? But I use that all the time. But I mean, even that itself, it's not foolproof. You know that you start typing something and it gives you a big chunk of code and okay, well, that's actually wrong. You fix that. It's about assisting you. Okay, and I'm saying, making you more efficient at doing your job.
It helps.
Yeah.
And I love the analogy that someone was bringing onto the table this week. Copilot is it's just a young child at the moment, so it needs to be grow up to be a teenager. And if it's a teenager, then probably we can use that more often than nowadays.
Yeah.
So the value for money isn't there yet at the moment, and I think when we are moving further a few months, maybe a year, I don't know, it's going fast. Then when it's being a teenager, we can communicate a bit more with it, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Yep, I agree.
Talking about reporting and automation, the first session that you did, Automation Magic. What kind of message in general, not only automation, but with reporting, with the identities, what kind of message do you want to give to the attendees?
Yeah, the message I was giving is very plain and simple, right? We hear a lot of people say, okay, Intune doesn't do X and Y and Z. It doesn't do all the things I want it to do. Okay, but we have a really large ecosystem of things that we can use to make Intune, say, do exactly what we want it to do.
Yep.
So whether it's a function app that gathers data, like Jan is saying, and gives us more healthy reports, or whether it's a automation job that fixes something on a device, You can do this. This is all of your tool set that you can use. So if you go slightly outside of the box and learn this stuff, then it doesn't become a problem. Because yes, it's a lot different to what we had, the traditional tool set where we're coming from. But I'm going to say that it's never going to be perfect for everyone. So if you keep making a request that, I want it to do this, or I want reports to do that, Microsoft have to focus on something. Okay, they can't focus on every want and desire of every customer. So just have a look at the broader thing, and then you can do absolutely everything. I mean, customers come to us with massive wants and desires, and we typically say, yeah, we can do that. And then we're kind of, okay, well, let's figure this out now. But we get it done, so it is...
Another example, right, is if you heard about Entra ID governance.
Yep.
It's part of the Entra suite. All the magic you can do in there. There are some pre-built tasks that has a sequence of actions. But if you want to do something magic in there, what are you going to use? Logic apps.
Yeah.
Logic apps. And yes, you don't need Entra ID governance to do some of the stuff you do in those logic apps, right?
And Jan, are logic apps expensive and difficult?
No. I mean, you can make them expensive.
You could.
Yeah. I mean, everything can be made expensive because a logic app, if you use the consumption-based logic app, you pay per step.
Yeah.
Right? So, so if you make a loop that goes 100,000 times every time doing nothing,
That's going to cost you.
that's going to cost you more than doing it the right way. So make sure you try to tune it. But I haven't seen a single customer complain about a logic app run, ever.
Okay.
And then there is a new plan, a standard plan, which is more like a app plan. Same with the Azure function. You have the e-plans, where it's like you have a running web application. And you have a hot function waiting, and not a cold one.
Yeah.
And also with logic apps, you have multiple flows in the same app with the standard plan. And then you have a running cost, which is like maybe 250 euro a month to just have it running.
Okay.
And then, but then you don't pay per execution at the same time, right?
Right.
So make your correct choice. Like an Azure function, if the consumption works for you, I think, is it 400,000 execution a month you get free?
Yeah, I think so.
That's a massive amount of executions you get for free from Azure function.
Yeah. No,
But it has its limitations. It has a maximum runtime of 10 minutes. So if you want to do some heavy lifting in a function app, you might need to change the plan.
Right.
So that's some of the consideration you need to think about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that kind of experience you share on these kind of conferences, that probably that's in the session, maybe not today, but this kind of information are we sharing?
Things like this people don't realize, right? They can probably read docs and stuff like that, but they don't have real world experiences and information like that.
And
it's very useful.
It's the fear, right? So it's the fear that if you implement this thing, it's going to cost a fortune and it's going to reflect badly on me.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're really done. If Harjit hasn't any other questions, I have a lot, but
These guys are
we can
geniuses.
we can talk the whole day. We still wants to cap it on half an hour or so. So thank you guys for joining.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Good stuff.
It's your 5th time, Jan.
Yes.
And shall we make it a 6th?
That's my hope. Absolutely. I mean, it's you guys that need to approve me, right?
Yeah, I think they're on the other side. But
Hey, Peter, if you're listening, you can invite me back for next year now.
Yeah, let's do that. I can't talk about that, but let's see if we make that, we will have another conversation as well. So thanks for joining. Looking forward to next year, and then I say thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.